After weeks of drought-like conditions, we are finally getting some consistent rain in the garden. Perfect timing now that I have my drip irrigation installed, of course, but as my friend reminded me, you can't always depend on the rain, but apparently this week we can. So I don't need to water, but I do need to do some garden chores. So come along with me today while I show you what's growing on in the garden, cleanup edition. I have been really neglectful of the tomatoes. They have not been looking good for a while, but I've sort of just left them hanging here because I kind of like being a lazy gardener. Thank you, Ann of all trades, for encouraging my laziness. It is much appreciated. But alas, some of this looks really terrible. And we've had so much rain that honestly, most of my tomatoes have busted out and they're not going to be delicious. I actually thought about even just cutting this back some, just so what's growing up top can keep on growing, and some of this stuff that's sort of down here and creating a mess in between the trellis, well, it can just be let go. Like, there's only one good tomato on this whole thing. Everybody else is ruptured and busting. Oh wait, 2, 3, okay. Well, two good tomatoes on here. But picking them when it's still wet outside means that they're juicy and not sweet. I mean, juicy's good, but you really get the flavored watered down when it's been raining like it's raining here. Now, some of these, if they look pretty good after I cut them back, I may go ahead and trim back a few of them and root them up for the fall garden. We are making progress here. Definitely making progress. But what I've discovered is there are some cucumbers up in here, so I need to re-support them. Hello, cucumbers. Well, hi. Well, hi, you just made yourself all the way across, didn't you? Well, how about I give you a little support? All right, there you go. There you go. Take your tomato friends away. Sorry about that. So all of this over here is just three tomato plants. 3 tomato plants created all this, and we have had pounds and pounds and pounds of these tiny tomatoes, and they have been absolutely delicious. But it is definitely time to sort of get ready for the next season. So cleaning this up is a very good thing. And I think what's funny is even this plant here started out in a stunted state because I broke it off when I first planted it, but it caught up and it did all right. So I am not actually cutting out the plants themselves. I am going to leave them. This might be a mistake, but it's my mistake to learn and see, because we will still have plenty of time in Florida for this to grow back and put on some more tomatoes. Plus, I'm saving a few of the best looking pieces to root and plant more as well. We're all the way over into the cucumbers here. Here we go. And now, let's get these into the compost bin. Got some browns down there. Now we got some greens to go with those browns. Huh, somebody's been digging in back there. I tore all my landscape fabric off. Ooh, a little behind the scenes. My grapes have put on some leaves. Yay. Oh, leaf there. Nothing yet on the nectarines. The pawpaw was there. Nothing yet on this raspberry, but gosh golly, I'm excited to see some leaf out on the grapes for sure. With the tomatoes cleaned up in this bed, I'm moving on to the cucumber. One of the things that can affect cucumber, aside from pickleworms, which are my nemesis, this is a sign of a pickleworm right there. Hopefully we can get that whole. There's probably a little pickleworm down inside of here. Or he's probably eaten it all and moved on. But aside from the pickleworms, one of the other things that can hurt your cucumbers and other squash is powdery mildew. And as rainy as it's been, I'm surprised I don't see more. But I'm going to try to clean out some of the leaves, because you don't, just like some of the other plants, you don't need all of the leaves. Here's some more tomatoes still in here, growing this way. How funny. You don't need all of the leaves, but you want to make sure that you're saving leaves. There's a leaf node next to a cucumber that's growing in. You want to hang on to that one because that is the solar panel for that particular cucumber. I saw that on M.I. Gardener. I thought that was really interesting that they have their own personal solar panel. So as I'm cutting things back, I'll do my best not to cut off any leaves that are attached to a cucumber that I would like to keep. Also, don't think this is going to be a very easy task because it's all kind of crazy in here. And if I find some things that I don't want to keep, I'm just going to cut them off. And if it looks like I am really just randomly selecting leaves, it's because I am. Just finding some things that look like they need to be thinned out a little bit and making some decisions. I mean, the worst that happens is I cut off a cucumber or I cut off a plant at the bottom and they grow back. It is even harder to fight the pickle worms when you're having rain because the BT, which is a biological agent, a bacteria, easily washes right off. And so I have been struggling because I didn't want to have to spray every day, but I think with the rain that we're having, I may have to start spraying every day. But we are getting kind of the end of what should be cucumber season for us here. I just started really, really late, which is why my cucumbers look better than maybe some other gardeners do. Not that they look that great, they just don't look that terrible, I guess is probably the way to think about that. So, but at least if nothing else, I'll open this up and they'll get a little more air in here. The bees can get in here a little more easily. The pickleworm moths can get in here a little more easily. You know, but maybe, just maybe, I can get a few more dozen cucumbers out of this before it's all said and done. That would be really nice, but it has been really nice to have fresh cucumbers to eat from the garden just about every day. And this is the first season I've ever been able to do that. And it makes my heart very happy. And I had some for breakfast and it was so flippin' delicious to be able to just have that fresh cucumber. I mean, it's such a big difference, such a crispy experience compared to, oops, uh-oh, rut-row George, cut somebody loose. Oh well. See what happens? I'm just gonna tuck her back up in here though. There you are, ma'am. There you are, ma'am. Another mistake I've made with the BT is I was using the wrong kind of sprayer. I mean, mine worked, but I had to get a ladder out. So I will be making another video about what I've learned about spraying BT and how I've made changes in the equipment just a little bit so that it'll be an easier process for me. Because when it's easier for me to do, probably just like you, I'm more likely to do it. When it's harder to do, you're kind of like, that's going to be tough. And so, hard now, maybe make it easier later when you're trying to treat and beat the pickle worm. It also means with some of these leaves taken back, I can get in here with my sprayer a little better to help combat those pickle worms. So that's the other plus of doing this, because now I can get inside of here a little better than I could before. And I'm not trying to make it perfect, because there is nothing perfect about my garden. Only progress. Only progress, no perfection. Though I will tell you, homegrown tomatoes and homegrown cucumbers, homegrown tomatoes and homegrown cucumbers taste a lot like perfection. Man, this makes me sad. I picked this cucumber the other day and then I left it in the garden. I may still try to chill it and slice into it and see if there's anything worth eating left, but man, it got really sun-scalded right there. That's kind of crazy. All right, oop, oop, here's one here. Didn't even see this one growing down there. Oh, that's a lovely specimen. All right, today we're gonna put it in the basket. Remember to take it in. All right, I'll let that bell pepper keep on growing. I can really smell the marigolds this morning down here. It's been interesting now that I think about it. The cucumbers that have been down here on the ground area, ground, we're in a raised bed, but very few of them have had the pickle worm damage that the ones up top have. I think part of it is the cover, but I wonder, are these marigolds really doing their job? Sort of creating some confusion for the pickle worm moth. So, one thing that I did on this bed that I kind of wish I hadn't, I wish maybe I'd planted my cucumbers on the end instead of across, because it's pretty hard for me to reach all the way over and thin this out. Oh my gosh, look in there. Look right there. Look right there. I didn't even see this guy. Woo-wee. Now, it may not be as tasty in a salad, but I'm gonna do my little pickle worm treatment, get those pickle worms out, and we'll slice it up and find out. Now, interestingly enough, the tomatoes are on this side have sort of been protected by the cucumbers, and I guess they've had to compete with the cucumbers for moisture, and they are not busting. In fact, most of them look really good, so hooray for that. The next thing here we can see is my okra is now officially out of reach for me being able to harvest it while standing on the ground. And so I tried this a little, I think last year, and I'm gonna do it this year. I'm just gonna top the okra, and last time it forced it to create more growth down below and keep it where I can reach it. I've let it grow really tall before, and then I pull it over, and then it becomes a little unwieldy as well, because I think they got to more than 12 feet tall last time. And this time they're in a raised bed, so they're already 2 more feet off the ground. But we're gonna top the okra, see what happens. One of the things that I discovered is that these spray lids fit perfectly on the alcohol bottles that we buy. So I just take the spray lid off of one of the spray bottles and attach it. Now I know this is alcohol. I don't ever have to worry about I'm grabbing the wrong thing, because we have a lot of different mixes around the house, but my alcohol will always be in a square bottle. And when I'm all done today, I will put a little more lubricating oil on this to help prevent rust and to help prevent them from becoming harder to use. So that's all nice and sprayed up. I'm just gonna make sure I rub it all in here. I probably should have a rag to do that. Why not my shirt? Why not? All right, now And actually, you know what? Probably wouldn't hurt, since my hands have been touching the other ones, to give them a little sanitation too. Now, this is very hard for me to do. It just breaks my heart. I don't really want to cut it off, but I need to force it to push out more growth down below. So I'm taking the top out of this one. This one is not quite too tall. That one I've got a little bit of growth left there. And the rest of these are still within reach. So, ooh, and it's got okra gooey. So a little spray afterwards doesn't hurt either. Now this is my African blue basil, and it grows, as you can see, like a weed. This is one plant that I put in here that had 3 little stalks in it, so basically 3 plants. But I'm going to cut back a little bit of it because it'll shade out the other plants that are here, and I can take any of this that I want to, root it, stick it in some dirt, and I can have like 5 or 6 more African blue basil plants. There are ways to cut it so it gets bushier, but this is already bushy enough because I've already been cutting it back some. I don't need it to be any bushier, though it will get bushier after this. And there we go. Puts a little less shade down on these onions that were growing underneath here. And I think I will make myself a few more plants out of what is left. So right in here, I have these beautiful bell peppers. And these bell peppers love full sun. It's still early morning here, but I don't think it matters what time of day now over here. There is no full sun over here. And so these peppers have completely stopped putting on flowers and stopped growing any peppers that were on there. It's all sort of come to a halt, but that's okay. I'm gonna leave this growing in here. It's already overwintered once, and in the fall, as all of this gets pulled back, I suspect I'll get more peppers growing again. No need to hang on to some of this. All right, let's venture on down here. What do we have? We have Babyface's sleeping spot. Oh, she laid down on my beans. Hey, Babyface, I see you there. It's okay. You're all right. Are you still there? Are you still there? There she goes. Now, here's the other jungle over here. Let me come around to the other side and show y'all. Look at these sweet potatoes. I trimmed all of this back just last week. I trimmed all of it back. I still have just as much now to trim as I trimmed the other day. I want to keep a walking path through here. I want to keep a path so I can see what's under my feet through here. I don't want to meet one of our friendly garden guardians by accident. So keeping this trimmed back is very important to me. I would say this has been working really, really well here. Underneath all the rain we've had, it's just thriving. Just thriving. Now, my understanding is that by cutting this back, I am also putting more energy back into the roots, which is definitely what I want to do, because I want a whole bunch of sweet potatoes out of here. All right. Now, let's come around and look on the other side. If you've never planted sweet potatoes, something you should know is at all these little nodes, let's see if I can get my in there. At all these little nodes, you get roots out, and it will take root in the ground. But often the more places you let root in the ground, the smaller the roots you get. And so you also want to sort of be mindful of that. I've heard stories on YouTube where people would plant their sweet potatoes and then come back and put some fabric on the ground to keep any of the vines from rooting, so that they were only getting roots on the parts they had already planted in the ground. That seems interesting. One of the ways I'm trying is by keeping it trimmed up. So I'm not letting anything root outside of this garden bed. And we'll know in a few months if that worked. Man, this is just all crazy right here. Have you ever seen anything grow so wonderfully? Clearly, it's happy with everything about where it's living. Everything. The bananas look pretty happy too. All right, let's check out the other side here. Now, I'm not bending down to do this. I'm just gonna have the lawn guy hit this with the weed whacker to sort of knock this back and keep it to the confines of the garden bed for the same reasons. Look, it's growing underneath my neighbor's fence. I don't want that. I want to be a good neighbor. We didn't bargain for the sweet potato going straight up the fence, so I don't want to send that over the top too with all that loofah that's growing up there. Oh, bananas. So many bananas. I'm so happy. But if you haven't seen this before on the channel, I planted sweet potatoes in a bed that was over there. That bed's gone. I threw some of the vines underneath the bananas. That's all grown out here. And now that that grew back around, I put in the new bed and tossed the vines right back. So this is from a planting from last summer, maybe, or the summer before. I think you can call this a perennial now. Well, I think that's enough cleanup for this morning. If you like this content and you want to see more about what's growing on here in the meadow, be sure to check out this video over here. And until next time, my friends, remember to drink plenty of water, wear that high quality sunscreen, and as always, have a fantastic day. Not bad. A little harvest along with the cleanup.